Hey, Scott Austin here from Jade Puma, and in this video I'm going to walk through how we've set up the Shopify store for CommerciaLight. I'm in the Shopify admin, I'm logged in. I'm going to call this the back end, and if I click on this little link right here, it's going to open up the consumer-facing side, the front end, right? And so I'm going to say front end and back end and alternate between them as I walk through this. You'll notice here this gray bar at the bottom. Only you as store admin will see this. When you're logged into the Shopify admin and then open up the front end, you get this little gray bar at the bottom. Your customers will never see it. And it's nice because you can quickly, when you're on like a collection page here, the little gray bar at the bottom changes and says, edit collection and that kind of stuff. So it's a quick and easy way to get into the back end from the front end. And you'll also notice it tells us right now that the site is password protected. I would recommend unprotecting that anytime soon. The sooner you do it, the more, the pages start getting indexed and searched and that kind of stuff, which is, always good stuff to do. To undo that, we just go here into online store in the back end, down to preferences, and right at the top of the page says disable password, which will take you down to the bottom. You just uncheck this box right here. And then the store is no longer password protected. Anybody can see it and all that good stuff. So let's walk you through the front end on the consumer experience. I'm going to clear my cart just so we see an experience from scratch. And we've got the logo that you provided. I made a horizontal version. The one you provided looked more like this. I call this the vertical. And I call this the horizontal. So I modified it a little bit to have two different layouts depending on where we're using it. And I think we have a third version. So let me just show you what this looks like on the mobile phone. So there's our mobile phone version of the site. And yeah, you can see here we've got it without the iconic part of the CLD logo part of it. And it's just the text there because it's such a small space. So let's go back to our normal version here. And what you can see is I picked a color scheme because we didn't have one. It's a brand new store. We can update color scheme pretty easily. But I picked off, I think the dark blue in this is what I picked things off of and then ran from there. So you can see I've got the dark blue here. So I have a very blue color scheme, obviously. I picked this kind of, I don't know, metallic gray blue. I actually kind of like the way it works, but we can totally update this to be anything you wanted. And because of that blue color, I also tinted the banner here to be blue also. To darken this, I could have darkened it with a black, but I darkened it with a blue just to, have more of a branded experience there. That's all easy to update. And we've got here is the custom header that I made, which has the search box front and center because you're going to be a very search-centric site. I think we also put a search box at the bottom of the home page too. And the value prop in the banner, commercial LED lighting, bright and energy efficient, a little text description, and then we've got the outdoor lighting and the indoor lighting links that take us to the collections. I like to have the home page area here mimic much of your navigation because for those people on mobile, this navigation is in what's called the hamburger. It's not as obvious, so I try to mimic that navigation in the homepage content so that people on mobile can get to it. And also on the homepage, we've got a carousel of reviews. It'll scroll through your most recent reviews. Right now, there's just the two test ones that we put in there. But as more start getting populated in there, this will start getting filled out. Also got a subscribe link. We're not hooked up to an email system yet, but this just adds emails into your Shopify customer data, and then when you connect an email system, it'll load those all up for you. I only put that on the home page. I don't put it across the whole site. We can do it either way. I like it on just the home page because this allows you to, if customer support calls or someone calls customer support and says, "Hey, I want to get on your email list because maybe you're offering a 10% off coupon." Customer support can easily tell them, "Hey, just go to our homepage," and it's right at the bottom of the page, right? So I always try to put it on the homepage because it's an easy customer support process. And take you through the evergreen links at the bottom here. The first one is the About Us, which is content you're going to need to fill in. I'm going to send you a separate link for a video on how to edit pages. because there's 3 different ways that pages can be edited in your store depending on how I built them. So that will explain to you how to edit them. This one you actually use this customize link on. And then there's the reviews page. This one is dynamically made by our reviews app. So as more reviews show up, it'll just start populating. There's a contact us page. This one should be good to go. We can edit this text. Also, it uses this customized link right here also. I like putting a map in there just to show that, hey, we're an American company. Because buying American is important, or from an American company, you're going to get local service, language, cultural knowledge, all that good stuff. So I like putting the fact that, hey, we're American right in the contact us by just putting a map in. Even though your products are not made in America, I assume many of them are coming from overseas. There's an FAQ page. We don't have content in here yet, but as you build out your FAQ, you can put it in there. I would put 1 or 2 in there for right now if I was you, just to have something there. And once again, that would get edited through this customize button. And then there's the policy pages. There's the privacy with some boilerplate from Shopify. The refund policy with some boilerplate from Shopify, and the terms of service with some boilerplate from Shopify. You can edit those as needed or necessary. And where those are edited is if you go into the back end under settings down here in the bottom left, and here you'll see this link for legal. I click on that, and that's where that content comes from. Is you just edit it in here, and it's a nice rich text editor experience. You can make bold things and all that good stuff. And these same pages also show up in the checkout process, which I'll show you when we get to checkout. So you add the content once and it shows up both here and in the checkout process. So the shopping experience is fairly consistent across the whole store, right? And we've walked through this a couple times. We've got the list of products, and I've got all these different collections listed out. So you can look at all outdoor lighting or just canopy outdoor lighting and all that good stuff. And you'll notice if I go to one of these, let's go to security. The name of that collection is called Outdoor LED Security Lights. And I put that full description in there for SEO reasons. Even though your site's brand new and it won't rank high in SEO yet, starting to get those best practices in place is a good thing to do. That's why I use the full description on the collection pages. But the one we've been working on the most, and it's the best one to show you the filters, is the See All. So if we go to See All, you can see all the different filters that we have listed already. Product type, and let's actually walk you through each one of these. So what I've done in Notion, and I'm not done with it yet, but I'll continue to do it, is starting to build out some documentation. So this is Notion. I use it as a client. You can log into the website. Let's see if you've even logged into it. Yeah, you've already logged in. You have access to this. So what I'm doing right now is just building out a taxonomy list that says for each node in the taxonomy, here's how you get that product to show up. So if you take a product and make its product type equal to security, it will show up in the outdoor lighting section, outdoor lighting security section. And right now we're just using product types to define all our navigation nodes. So back to here, this is just a list of product types. This isn't pulled by tags, it's just pulling the product types. And then the subtypes, these are tags. The sizes are tags, and we're going to get into the filter app in a little bit and show you some more details about it. But the size one for tag is actually, and let's just go into one that has a size and click on it. When I'm done with this video, I'm going to hide these sections right here. And actually, let me just take a note down so I remember to do that. Hide tags on product page. So I'm going to hide that. I've only had that here as I'm building the content out, right? But you can see here, the product type is flat panel, and then these are tags. They call it category for some reason, but they're actual tags. So what I did for some tags, we actually use the tag as is, like fixture. And this will make more sense when I show you also the app for tagging for filtering. But some tags just say the word, and other tags say the category, size being what I'm calling category at this moment, and then the value, right? So right now, remember I clicked on a filter that said 1 by 4 foot. That's because this is tagged size colon 1 by 4 foot. Another one is voltage and wattage. So the nice thing about those is you can add a size, a voltage, or wattage by just adding a tag that says wattage, colon. If I added one right now, it said wattage colon Scott. All of a sudden, on the collection page, under wattage, we would see Scott, and it would mess it up because the wattage one has a number filter, this range filter here thing. But you can add these dynamically, size, wattage, and voltage. You can add them by just adding a tag that is tagged properly. Now, other things like shape, features, and color, you have to add the tag to the product, and you also have to go into the filter app and add that value to the filter. So I'm just showing you on the front end now how it works, and then we'll go into the back end in a little bit and walk through that. So the filters we have are product type, a subtype, which is just fixture and accessory right now, size, which some of these are, two-dimensional sizes, some of these are one-dimensional sizes, some are diameters. Wattage, we just got that slider working today, which is really cool. So now we can say, oh, show me everything, from 50 to 100 or whatever. And the sliders, are dynamically generated based on the values. So you can see it's not exactly 50 to 100, but you can actually just type in 50 to 100 if you want to and get that exact set of results. And then what you'll see is all the products in there. Okay, there's a bug there. Let me log that and get back to them because I typed in 50 and it rounded up to 50.5. So filter wattage 50 rounds up. And I apologize if you can hear the background noise. I'm sheltered at home like all of us are during this coronavirus, and I have construction on the house next to me on the other side, and they're building a brand new house across the street. So any time of day there's something going on. I just heard some jackhammering or something. Hopefully you can't hear it, but apologies if there's background noise. So I will get them to fix the fact that if I type in 50, it rounds up to 50.5. But that'll work properly. But they got the sliders there for that. We've got voltage, we've got shape, and let me just go back to clearing this. We can see all the values. Shape, features, color, and then price, vendor, and stock status. So lots of different filters, right? And these show up on all the collections except for the new collection. For new, I'm just showing, I think it's the top 20 or so products, the newest 20 or so products. Everything else shows the filters. And even if we search, let's just search for emergency, we get the same filters there also. And the nice thing about the filters is it only shows the values that are relevant to the products that are selected. So for example, if I go back to see all, and right now we can see a whole bunch of sizes, but if I click on Trofer, right, the number of sizes available diminishes to those that are the actual sizes for the Trofers. So the filter app works really nicely. Now let's go into a product. Like I said, this content won't be here really soon. I'll get rid of that. That was just for me as I built out all these collections and filters. We're showing the product description and documents. And I think I showed you already. I'm going to show it to you again if I can find it. Oh, I remember where I can find it. Here is on this product right here. So we have the ability to have more than one tab generated from the product description, right? And I'm going to send you another video on how to add tabs that are generated from your product description. But here I'll show you quickly how it looks. If I go in to edit this product right here, on that little gray bar at the bottom, I go into edit the product and I go into HTML view right here, show HTML. You'll notice this is HTML code right here, right here, right here. So that's the code we use to divide up the content between tabs and then divide between what is the title content or in the tab itself, right? this says, hey, this next thing below is the tab, right, which we call title 2, and below that is the content in that tab, content. So for example, if I change title 2 to be title example, and I save that, and I go back to that page where it says title 2 here, right, and I refresh that page, it'll now say title example. So we have the ability to have multiple tabs all generated from inside the product description. And then we've also got a second thing that drives tabs. Let's just go to another random product and see if I can find one, like this guy right here. And that is documents, right? So the documents tab is driven by if there is a value in the meta field, which I'll explain what that is in a second. There's a value in the meta field for a document URL. And you notice here, this document is stored on the Shopify servers, right? So this is part of your store, right? If there's a value in the meta fields, then show that tab. Show that as a tab with that value, that content in there. So let me go here, and I'm going to log in right here to the store. Now I'm logging into the front end of the store, not the back end of the store, right? So I'm logging into the front end with a username and password, which could be the same username and password that you have on the back end, but the two are not related to each other, believe it or not. But I log in, and I've already tagged myself, right, as an admin, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here I am on the back end. I'm going to go to customers, and I'm going to look at the account that I created. And you'll notice here it says, oh, there's no tags. Or is it not generated yet? Oh, there it is. It took a second for that page to load up. I don't know if you've noticed, with everybody at home watching Netflix, the internet's pretty slow. But here it says, I'm tagged as admin, right? And the only function of this admin tag is for you and I. When we're logged into the front end, we have this admin functions content show up. So your customers will never see this. Only someone who's tagged admin, which only you can do, will see this. And what this is, just one link here right now, and you click on it, and it opens up all of your products in spreadsheet view with the meta field needed for the specs. So remember, we were talking about how on a product page, the tab shows up for the specs based on if the meta field has a value. Well, where's that meta field? It is right here. All right, here's how we edit it. We log into the front end with an account tagged as admin, click on that meta fields link, and it brings this up. And then you can just take the Shopify URL of your file and put it in here. Now, this was some kind of complicated work that I did in spreadsheet format to get this all filled out for the first couple hundred products. You can do it manually, which is what this view here does. I actually did it automatically through the tools and processes that I developed when building out the store. But let me show you where those files are located. If we go into the back end under settings, down here in the lower left, there's this little section here, files. And usually what you have on here is like banner photos, and it looks like you guys are adding some content in there already. And you'll notice also the hundreds of PDFs in there for all the different products, right? So if you wanted to, add or change out one of these product specs, you could add the PDF, which you would use the button right up here for upload files. You could add the PDF in to your files under settings, and then just grab the URL for that. I'm going to hit copy, and then go into your spreadsheet view, highlight the one you wanted to change, and I'm going to delete it first so you can actually see it happening, and I'm going to hit paste, right? And I'm not going to save this, so I won't be messing up what's already set up there, but that's how you can manually add in a URL. So you manually add the file into Shopify and then copy and paste that URL into this structure here. I'm going to discard that change. So that's where the meta fields are stored for the product specs. Let's close that window out. Now, not much else to explain on the product page. I'm showing a recently viewed items. There's the ability in this theme with most themes to show recommended products. I don't think that makes sense in your business where it's commercial and these people know what they're looking for. It's not like they're buying a scarf and you're going to recommend a glove to them kind of thing. So I actually think showing their recently viewed items is a much more better way to use this cross merchandising space on the product page. But just let you know, we have the ability to have some recommended items show up there. They just pulls other content from the collections. There's a little algorithm that it uses. But like I said, I don't think it makes sense for your business. But if I'm wrong in that, happy to turn that on. It's really easy to do that. So let's take this product and let me just make a quantity 2, add it to cart. Now we don't have product weights fully uploaded yet. I think I set everything to be 1 pound for right now, but I'm going to get product weights from you and we'll get that updated in there so it'll be more accurate. But right now we go into the checkout. And you'll notice here we've got a branded checkout experience. Oop, I need to add your logo. Let me go into Notion and add logo to checkout. I was waiting for your new logo. Oh, I got your new logo, so I just didn't get that updated. Add new logo to checkout. So here's what that experience looks like. It's pretty simple. This is the standard Shopify checkout. There's not a lot of customization we can do here. Basically, putting this banner in is about the level. Like we can't change what fields are collected and the number of steps we go through. But your branding will carry through in the checkout experience. And we also should have branding. Let me check and make sure I do in your notifications. And that's under here. So emails that go out, with auto updates and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we've got your old logo, so let me update that also. Good thing I'm catching these things. Update notifications branding. Okay. So let's go back to our home page. I think we've covered everything on the front end, because there's not a lot there. There's a lot of content, but all the content works the same way regardless of where it is in the menu system. So that's everything on the front end that I can think of right now. So let's walk into the back end, and I'm just going to open up that page while we do that. And I want to show you what apps we have in the store. So the first app, Excelify, this is what I'm using right now to import and export in spreadsheet view. And you actually, instead of using CSVs, you can actually import and export Excel files. And the two big advantages of doing it this way versus CSVs. One is when I do it in a CSV fashion, if there's like 5 product photos, each product photo has to be on its own row in the CSV, and that's a lot more complex to set up. What Excelify allows me to do is have 5 different product photos all in the same row. So it's much easier to add a product with multiple photos using this app. And the other big value add is we can also add meta fields where we cannot add meta fields in any way through CSVs. So this allows us to also import meta fields, and that's how I can, in Excel, structure the file format for the link to that PDF to be accurate, where I couldn't do that through CSVs, and I would have to have done that very manually, which would be a lot more work to do. So Excelify really helps us import new content into the site. Judge Me is the product review app, which is pretty well set up. We got those couple demo ones going on the site. Photo resize will take all of your product photos and convert them to be square, which is what I highly recommend you do, and that way they lay out uniformly and they work well in mobile and on desktop. There's a video on how to run that I think I've already sent you. If I haven't, even if I have, I will send it to you again. Product Filter and Search is the app that powers this experience here. And then, I'll go into that one a little bit detailed here. Shopify Flow is an app we're not using yet, but it is an app that is a free app from Shopify for Shopify Plus stores. So I just added it into your store since you're Shopify Plus. You may use that in the future, and it's just loaded for you there. Um, Shopify Flow can like turn things on and off automatically. So let's say you had a Black Friday sale and you wanted it to end midnight on Friday. You use Shopify Flow to automatically turn that off at midnight instead of having to be awake at midnight to make those changes happen. And I've used that for like Christmas promotions where every day is a different thing. We set them all up in Flow and had them run automatically. But there's a bunch of things you can do with Shopify Flow. It's a really nice app that's available to Plus users, so I threw it in your store for you. And then Smart Tags. This is what I'm using in conjunction with Product Filter and Search to generate all the tags. So we import content in Excelify that gives us, as one example, let's just pull up this one here, the 100-watt dim HE wall pack bronze product title. So what I did on that, using the Smart Tags app, and I'll show you that in a little bit of detail in a second, using the Smart Tags app, I extracted the 100-watt from the product title and made this tag wattage : 100 watt. I also extracted bronze from the product title, so I made this color bronze tag. And I also extracted wall pack and then turned it into the product type of wall pack. So using this information and that app, or using the app, I was be able to extract from product titles all the different tags that we're using for the filters. And that's, brings up another really good point, is not all the content is tagged appropriately yet. And that's something that you'll have to do ongoing. Is if the information is not here in this product title, for example, some of these lights might not show a wattage on them. I don't know if any do or don't off the top of my head. But if there's no wattage listed for a fixture, it looks like so far they all do. Let's just assume for a second one of them doesn't have a wattage in it. Then it's not going to show up when we filter by wattage, right? It's going to have to be manually augmented to have that tag in there. So what we're doing is we're trying to automate as much of that tagging as possible by using the rules in this app. So let's walk into the Smart Tags app and show you what those rules look like. And there's a ton of them here, right? So and once again, it looks like we have a slow internet. There we go. So we have 89 Smart Tag rules. Probably like 82 of them are live. I think there's a bunch at the bottom that aren't live. So let me walk into a simple one, and then we'll go into a complex one. So for example, 110, yeah, that's a good one. Let's just open this one up here. 110 watts. So the rule says any products where the product title contains the value 110 watts, which is not capitalized sensitive, right? There's a little checkbox here. I can make it case sensitive. Any product whose product title contains the 4 characters in a row, 110W, then automatically tag it wattage : 110 watts. Now, let me show you one that's a little more complex, and that's the 10-watt one. And the reason the 10-watt one is more complex is the string that I want people to search for, well, this one's complex for 2 reasons, is 10 watts, right? 10W. I also put 10.7W because I thought it was just silly to have a tag of 10.7. But the problem here is the 110 watt lights also have the 3 characters 10W in them, right? So what I did is I created a second rule that says that if the title does not contain 110 watts, right? And then I set a rule that says both of these must be true to be tagged 110, to be tagged with the value of wattage 10 watts. So let me explain that scenario. If a product contains 110W in the product title, this will be true. Title field contains 10W. This will not be true because title field does not contain 110 is not true. So this is true, this is not true, therefore it does not apply the tag. Now, if something contains 10W, right, or a 10 watt string, this is true. The title field says 10W, and it's also true that it does not contain 110W, therefore true and true, and the product gets tagged wattage 10W. And getting the logic of these set up for a couple of them was, I had to think through a couple times because you're saying not, and those kind of things. So what I got down to is when I got them working well, when I wanted to add another one, I would clone it to keep some of those logics in place. And some of them get even more complex than that over time, because like 8 watts, there's an 18, a 28, and a 38, and those kind of things. Or like on this one here, if it says 5/6 inches, then I tagged it both 5 inches and 6 inches. So there's a lot of variables in there. You can read through them and see all the different things that are going on. But basically that's how it works. And you add any product to the catalog, or if you update a product, it'll update all the tags across the catalog, which is really nice. But now as you bring in a new vendor, we might have to go in and update the rules. For example, instead of brushed nickel, they may use the term brushed and abbreviate nickel NKL or something like that. So if that's the case, what we would do is we would edit this rule and then add those extra values in there instead of creating all new rules is the important thing. So let's cancel that. So that is the Smart Tags app that's on and running at all times. It's costing a whole $1.99 per month right now, and that gets you up to 1,000 products. And then right now you're at 250 products. So once you grow your catalog 4x, I'll have to go up the next level plan. I don't know how much that one costs, but at $2 a month or even a little bit more than that, it's inconsequential compared to your total cost. So it's the kind of thing you can keep in the store running full time. What I've done for other stores, we just run it, we upload the catalog the first time, and then delete it to save the cost kind of thing. But I assume you're going to be adding content continuously. Now let's look at our other app that works in conjunction with this, and that is the product filter and search. So the manage filter trees is the important thing here, and the filter tree we're using on everything except the new the new collection. The filter tree we're using for everything is the default filter tree. So we're going to edit that and show what that looks like. So here you can quickly see the structure of the filters on the all page, right? Let's clear that. Where the first thing is product type, subtype, then size, right? And here we have product type, subtype, and then size, and all of them are listed. We can move them up and down. We can change position. And then how each one of these is generated. For example, if we look at this rule here, what it does, it just pulls the product types automatically. We can pull collections, titles, all sorts of fields, right? So there's a lot of ways we can build these filters out, and for what we're doing, I use different ways quite frequently. So there's some learning curve behind understanding all the options in here, but this should give you a feel for how that works. Let me just show you another one. Like let's do color as a good example. So in color, what we're doing is we're finding tags, right? So here's where it says tags, and we're allowing people to select more than one tag, right? So you can pick blue and black, even though blue is not a color option in this catalog. And then it looks for all tag values, but uses a prefix, right? So this is the cool thing, where it finds everything that begins with color, right? So in our catalog today, things that begin with color end up being black, bronze, brushed nickel, frosted, and white. So you notice what the app automatically does. It pulls the color off of the tag and just shows the value that shows up after the colon when displaying it to the customer. So this is a really nice functionality. And in some of these, I went into the advanced options, and you do things like how they're sorted and displayed and that kind of stuff. We can display them alphabetically, or we can display them with the things with the highest count first. And I think I did just one was the highest count, and I think that was fixture, right? Alphabetically, accessories came first for subtypes, but I thought fixture was more important, so I just sorted that one by highest count at the top. Most of the other ones are done alphabetically, but we have control over much of that is the point that I'm making there. So that is the apps, right? So I think I've explained all the apps. Um, we go into the products. The collections are pretty easy to understand. I'll show you those. So collections right here. Um, all the collections that I've created are what are called automatic collections or smart collections. They're based on rules, right? We could create a collection and just manually add products to it, but that's not a scalable solution. So what I did for all of them is just create the rules for them, and that's what I documented in Notion. Right here is what is all the rules for the different collections. It's pretty simple right now. We're just using product types to drive what collections products fall into. We could also use tags and content that's on the title, but I did it all by product types. But that's where you can see all the collections. I don't think there's much more to show you in this store. Let's go into settings and see if there's anything important. I would recommend just having a generic email address here, so that it goes out to customers. And you might want to create a CommerciaLight distributor's email address. If you're using, I use G Suite for my company, Jade Puma, right? So Scott at jpuma.com goes through my Gmail G Suite thing, and what that allows me to do is add multiple domains, right? So I have the Shopify Solutions Podcast domain. If you go to Scott at ShopifySolutionsPodcast.com, that comes into my Jade Puma account. Point being, if you're using Gmail, you can add another domain to your system, so that you can show the CommercialLight.com email addresses on that store instead of Start Lighting. So if you want to do that and you're using Gmail, let me know and we can figure out how to get that set up properly. Not much else to show you here. I don't think we've set up shipping rules yet. I think it's one of our to-do items we were talking about. Yeah, I think you're going to send me a this happens all the time where it makes me log in again. So let me do that while I continue talking. You're going to send me some manual shipping tables, and I'll get that implemented, and we'll get this stuff working properly. So I got two screens, bringing the content over from the other screen. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you on the front end was in the checkout experience. Remember I talked about the links at the bottom, right? So there's the refund policy, and that's the same content that is stored here under this legal section. Taxes, we are set up right now to collect from your address, I assume. Yep, from your address, so in Colorado. So if you have more than one location you're shipping from, and you probably know all this stuff already, we'll have to add that location so that, if you have an East Coast and a West Coast warehouse, you have to charge taxes in that East Coast state and that West Coast state. And of course, I think in the future, sometime here, it's going to change. We're going to be charging taxes in every state, but that has not gone into effect yet. Just going back to this page, I don't think there's much else to show you. Just want to make sure that's true. Yeah, I think you've got payments already set up. All right, so you haven't completed the payment setup yet, and only you can do that. I can't go in and do that on your behalf. So only account owners can do that, because they either want your bank information or credit card information or something like that. So go into here. So I was at settings, and then payment providers. Go into that and complete the account setup. Right now that button's inactive for me, but when you log in, it should be active. Go in and complete that payment setup, and you'll be good to go. Most people, it makes sense to use Shopify payments because Shopify, even if you use a third-party provider, which you can totally do, like Stripe or anybody else, right? Shopify will charge. So if you get a credit card rate that's better with your competition or with Shopify competition, they still charge a per transaction fee if you're using a third-party payment provider. So it very rarely makes financial sense to use a third-party payment provider unless you're a Shopify Plus account. So you're a Shopify Plus account. If you were to use a third-party payment provider, Shopify would not charge you a per transaction fee. So it may be cheaper for you to use a third-party provider if you have one already. If you don't, I would just stick with Shopify payments, and then when you get to a certain volume, of business and it makes financial sense to definitely go through the time and energy to move it over, you can do that. And it's easy to change out payment providers. But rarely do I recommend people not use Shopify payments. But for you, it may actually make sense because you're in Shopify Plus. And I actually have an Excel spreadsheet where you can input some variables like what's your average, order size and how many orders per month and credit card rates and that kind of stuff. And it'll tell you what's the most cost-effective solution to be using. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Yeah, I think we covered everything. So that's the video on how your store is set up. I'll give you some other generic videos like I talked about already on how to size photos using the photo sizing app and editing pages and that good stuff. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.